Welcome everyone. Today we have a new video to have a look at what are the methods, statistically speaking, to give you a better way of getting different Uber unique items. You can see in the recording behind me, yes guys, this is not my account but my friend's account, who I have been playing closely to farm different Uber unique items, and he's extremely more lucky than me. If you haven't seen the previous videos, we also talk about this. But in this video, what I want to do is, I want to provide you guys with more statistics. Now, if you look behind me, notice that I have made a little Excel over here, little Excel table. I have made actually two Excel tables and a bunch of reads, which I want to show you guys. So in this video, what I want to do is I want to show you guys currently I have two repetitive of the same Uber unique items. We don't want that. We want different Uber unique items. So in total, I have found 3 different Uber unique items. So what's going to happen in this video is, I want to help you and also teach you how to use this Excel table to help you get 16% better rate, 3% better rate, or avoid getting lower rate. You can either be getting 16% better rate or 16% lower rate if you do not farm your items correctly. And I'll explain what I mean by that. And the two tables will allow you to know if you already have one item, which one should you be farming on what class. And the second table will help you find which one of the Uber unique items you want the most and which class you should be farming for those items. Because if you do this differently, you'll be losing at least 3.3% rate because of this. So coming over to our first part. Now, if you guys have not found your first Uber unique items, we do have a few of the guide and also method of teaching how to farm for the materials and then how to farm your Uber unique items and what are the method and tricks we have tried to get higher rates. So I have the links available for those previous videos, and if you haven't seen those guides, definitely have a look. In this video, so there are two parts of this video. The first part, I'm assuming that you have gotten one Uber unique. The second part will talk about how to focus on finding any of the Uber unique items you wanted with 3.3% better rate. Now, a brief explanation of how this Excel works is that here we have different classes having different pool of items for Uber unique items. And because some classes might have 6 Uber unique items, like Barbarian and also Necromancer, you can either be getting better rates or lower rate if you pick your class correctly while fighting the boss, and the boss will give you different loot. Now, coming over to the first part, this is a table to help you to know which class to select when you already have one of the listed below Uber unique items. So what I mean by that is, let's say if you already have the Doombringer like me over here. So I have the Doombringer, and this is the one-hand sword. So after having the Doombringer, if I wanted the Grandfather, I should be farming Duriel on Necromancer and also Barbarians. This can be the main account or the alt account. If you have seen this video, we talk about making alt accounts. It is okay if you already have the Doombringer, you can also be farming on the sources and also Druid. And this will actually give you at least 16.67% or even 20% better rate. Because they do not have the loot pool for the Doombringer, your loot pool is open for everything but the Doombringer. So finally, you should not be farming on the rogue account after getting a Doombringer, because this will give you 16.67% bad rate, simply because once you get an Uber unique item, which is at 2% rate, then pretty much, you have a 16.67% chance of getting a duplicate. So here I did get a duplicate of the rings. The rings and also the general Uber unique is a little different, but for the weapons, it's very important to know which class you should be farming and which class you should be avoiding after getting one of your Uber unique weapons. Now I know this might sound a little too confusing. So simply said it, guys. So use this table. If you have Doombringer, go for the best class that give you the best rate. And usually they will give you at least 16% better rate of finding a different Uber unique item. And for the case of Sorcerers and also Druid, for the Doombringer and also Grandfather, they have over 20% better rate because they don't have those items. So if you have the Grandfather, better to farm on the Sorcerers and the Druid account for a different Uber unique item. Now, if you have any of the other common Uber unique items, the amulet, the rings, or the hat, then this is a little different. Let's say if you're looking for any of those items and you already got one. So for example, I have already gotten a Ring of the Starless. And if that is the case, it is much better that I'm farming on Necromancer or Barbarians to not get another copy of the Ring of the Starless. simply because Necromancer and also Barbarians have a pool of 6 uber unique. Compared to the Sources and also Druid and also Rogue with only 5 items, it is more likely you get a clash of those items again to get the repetitive items. So if you already have a copy of any of those items, it is better to go with Necromancer or Barbarians. So remember guys, this table tells you if you have this item, what is a class to farm on to avoid getting this item. The goal is to avoid getting the same items you have. And finally, if you already have the Spear of the Ascender, which is the two-handed staff, then you should not be farming on the Sources or the Druid. Any of the other classes are really good for you. So yeah, I'll update over here, so any of the other classes on the side is good for you. So you don't want to be farming on Sources or Druid if you already have the staff, and you want to be farming on other classes for the other pieces of the uber unique items. Now to give you guys a better example, let's say if I only have my Ring of the Starless and I already have 2. So if that is the case, so let's say I look at the Ring of the Starless, right? And then I should not be farming on Sources, Druid or Rogue. I should be farming on Necromancer and also Barbarians for my better rate of getting something else. So the goal is to get something else. And let's do a further example. Let's say if I only have the Doombringer. And if I only have the Doombringer, it is better for me to be farming on the Sources or the Druid, because this way I will avoid getting the Doombringer. Now let's say if I have both of the Ring of the Starless and also the Doombringer, I want to avoid getting both of those items. So in order to avoid getting the Doombringer, I can try Sources or Druid. But at the same time, I don't want to get the ring, right? So ultimately speaking, I'm still farming on Necromancer and also Barbarians, because this gives me the chance of getting the Grandfather, and also this gives me a good chance of avoiding getting the ring again. So I'm trying to give you guys the best method of avoiding getting the repetitive uber unique items, because no one wants to wait for 2% rate of dropping a same uber unique item. You can't use it, and it's not really good for, for RNG, right? So hopefully it's not too complicated to use this first table, and this should help you guys get much better rate of a different uber unique item. Now I'm coming over to the second part. I had some friends telling me, Matt, your maths is too confusing. The first part, you lost me on the first 30 seconds. So in order to make things a little easier, I made a second table for you guys. So instead of what to do after you got one of those uber unique items, but rather now you can be target farming whichever uber unique item you wanted. This is quite straightforward. So if you want the Doombringer, it is best to be farming this item on the Rogue. Now if you want, you can also be farming the ice item on Necro or Barb, but you'll be losing 3.3% Doombringer rate compared to the Rogue. Now if you want the Grandfather, you can only be farming those items on the Necromancer or the Barbarians, and those have the equal rate. And finally, if you want any of those common uber unique items, it is better to be farming on the Sources or the Druid, which will provide you 3.3 better rate. So this is a simpler guide and a better reminder to be showing you guys which item you want and which class you should be farming. Because if you're farming on the good class, you're losing 3.3% rate of getting those items you wanted. Now hopefully you guys find those two guides helpful, and what I do is I'll have this Excel shared to you guys so you can come over to the tabs. I'm working on another Excel to help you guys to find the best build for different classes after having one of the uber unique items, and I'll be working onto that guide very soon for you guys. And there's a lot of other things I used to add onto this Excel, so this is like a tally up Excel. You're going to see a lot of tabs, so come over to the first tab over here to see this Excel guide. And if you want to change anything in Excel, what you can do is come over to Files, make a copy, and this way you can make a copy and change everything in Excel. And it is possible, guys, I might have gotten those rates a little bit off, but this is the estimated rate and they're very close to what you are getting. So using those tables and also Excels should help you find a better rate of getting a different uber unique items. Now, if you guys haven't subscribed, it is a really good time to do so, because I'll be covering tons of Diablo 4 related topics and also videos and also guides. We'll be looking to the top meta builds, non-meta builds, leveling up, and also Paragon tricks. We're also looking to the latest events and also official updates, and also changes to different characters and also different builds in the game. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and also turn the notification on, because a lot of you who are watching the videos have not subscribed. You can see 80% of the viewers who are watching our videos have not subscribed, so make sure you subscribe to stay tuned for the latest update for Diablo 4.